Hello, good evening.
Very good evening, Dr. Preeti.
Good to see you here.
Good to be here.
Thank you. Ah, okay, I see some friends already here. Thank you for joining, friends. Good evening. We're going to just start in a minute. We have an interesting topic today, Sacred Feminine, on the eve of Women's Day tomorrow. We're going to have a lot of wonderful conversation. We're going to have invite questions. So do share with your friends if anybody is interested. Thank you. Yes, I see. Hi. Hi, Ria. Hi, Ravi. Hi, Anjali. Hi, Medha. Hi, Dipali. Should we go live? Sorry, we are already live. Should we start? Good to start. I see somebody, Healer Kali join. Hi. Good evening. A warm welcome, friends. A warm welcome. Happy Women's Day. On the eve of this Women's Day, we are going to have this wonderful conversation, and I'm so looking forward to it. And before I actually formally invite my dear friend Mudita here, I'd actually love to share what we are going to be speaking on so that if any of you want to also invite anybody else. So, Sri Aurobindo said, there's a beautiful quote from him, and I'm going to read it out. If there is to be a future, it will wear a crown of feminine design. And I love this quote. And many, many years ago, back in 2017, when I came across this and I looked deeper, I said, what does it mean? And working with a lot of clients who were coming to me for healing, that's when I actually started reading about sacred feminine. I understood what he actually meant, what he could see so deeply. The masculine and the feminine ways originally, friends, the natures have been different. And of course, patriarchy, what we know in the last couple of centuries, what has happened is every household wanted a boy, or they keep having children till the time they have a boy. And once you've had a boy, then it's okay. So obviously, women have picked this up. Intuitively, they have picked it up and they know that they are not wanted, they are not needed. You automatically, very subconsciously, this is not what you know necessarily consciously, but subconsciously, you have absorbed all of this. And automatically, what happens is growing up, we try to be the boy that our parents wanted. Our parents are like gods for us, right? So they are giving us everything, and we need to be needed. That's a need, that's a natural need for a child. The need to be wanted is a natural need. The need for love. So the child actually starts doing a lot of things so that they're going to like me. And of course, what we have seen in the last 2 centuries is a lot of the women being mistreated, not respected, right? Just they're there just so that you have kids, but they were not respected for who they are. And that is when now the women have actually gone and they have tried to really prove themselves, right? And now they have proved that, of course, everything that a man can do, we can do on the professional front, and we're no longer dependent. So that's a good step. However, we still see a lot of unrest. Women not really being happy. They're having a lot of issues, PCOS, infertility issues. Even when they want to conceive, they're not able to conceive. And a lot of this is a result of energy disturbances. So, this is what we're going to speak about today. And just to give a little bit of background, every man and woman has masculine as well as feminine within them, right? And the unhealthy thing that the people before have done is they have polarized, like you have to just be this. So the feminine, the female was just supposed to be like a female, right? And the man was just supposed to be like that. So men are not supposed to cry, women are not supposed to be angry. Men should only do this, women should only do that. But the truth is that the higher truth is we are all souls. And yes, when we are coming here, we're choosing one kind of body, but we have both the masculine and the feminine within us. So we're going to talk more about this, but before we go into the depths of it, I want to formally invite Mudita here. Mudita having a vast experience. She's a human resource professional, and the beauty with her is I have really seen her lead as a woman. Right, when I was kind of saying that we want to be wanted, and many times trying to prove ourselves, the unfortunate thing that happens is that women also become like men. We try to emulate. So if this is success, if this is what is wanted, we believe, the society has made us believe that men are higher and women are lower, and to come really into our power, we try to become like them. And the beauty in her is I've seen her really being that intuitive person. So everybody in the office, she's so present to people's needs, to what they want. She's so intuitive in that. And that is something that I really appreciate about you, Mudita. So, Mudita, I'd love for you to share a little bit. I'd love to hear from you, being in the corporate sector for so long, and coming from a tier 3 city where you were actually six daughters, right? And what you've shared with me is that your parents always encouraged for you to have a voice and like have your own opinion and think for yourself, and they really kind of gave you a lot of freedom and power. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about your journey and your experience with other people in your field.
Thank you so much, Dr. Preeti. It's actually a privilege to be here, to be a part of this conversation, specifically on International Women's Day Eve, talking about such a relevant conversation and a topic today on sacred feminine. Very beautifully, Dr. Preeti, you did say that, yes, we are seeing the shift. And, yes, I do come from a background of a tier 3 city where when I was being brought up, it was always like, the way you brought it out that, oh, if it's only a boy, you could have certain privileges. But I think my parents did break that entire myth that no, I think at the age of 16 to 18, we all knew how to drive. We all were
Wow.
made independent. We all were made to pursue the career choices that we wanted to. So, yes, I think a lot of the conversations that I see with other colleagues in the industry today, and I do understand where they are all coming from, is that as childhood, we've always been told that, oh, as a girl, you cannot do this, or as a girl, you cannot do that. In fact, to a larger extent, Dr. Preeti, what you also said that a few decades ago, even the corporate sector was built in such a model that, even the leadership, they would only value control, speed, competition.
Mm,
And for a woman, it was so important to adapt to those roles. Roles were stereotyped that, oh, for a sales role, we could only hire a certain level of men and women would not be able to
mm,
do the roles. But
mm,
today, we
mm,
do see that shift so strongly. Today, even the corporate world is slowly recognizing something important, that we need the female leadership energy. And the
mm,
leadership energy that you're talking about, yes, it is about deep listening. It is about inclusive decision making. It is about that intuition that, women bring, the collaboration that they bring. And a lot of this is something that organizations are tuning up to and warming up to. Uh, there have been times where, women leaderships have also had this suppression that, oh, and it is always not external. It is so much internal, as you rightly said, that, and that inner dialogue has been so difficult for all of us at times to be able to overcome. But thanks to the work that I have done with you through Inner Child, through Sacred Breath, through Family Constellation and Self Mastery, that today I'm able to move ahead and be able to bring the kind of change that we are looking today for organizations to have. So thank you so much for bringing this up today. It is so much more required.
That's so beautiful. Thank you, Mudita. Thank you. And coming back to what Sri Aurobindo shared, where he said that if there has to be a future, right? I thought it'll be appropriate to kind of clarify a little bit, if you're okay. When we spoke about we both have masculine and the feminine, right? To kind of just share a little about what are the qualities, right? So I know that you spoke about all these workshops, and actually I do a 2 day sacred feminine workshop, which I've not done in the last 3 years.
Yes.
But really we actually go into the depths of it. So what are those feminine qualities, right? They are being intuitive, being collaborative. They can easily multitask. They are emotional. They
Yes.
are passionate, creative, right? I mean, if you see, actually, the creativity is so natural for women. The, she's the one who gives birth to a child, right? So those qualities are really the feminine qualities. And what are the masculine qualities? The analytical, the competitive, the singular, rational, right? They can focus at one thing at a time. They are determined. It's more linear, right?
Absolutely.
And what we have seen classically in the previous generations, or at least the grandparents' generation, where we were, it was almost like polarized. Now, the men were just masculine, hyper masculine. So, what would that mean? And when we say patriarchy, what is it? That he's dominating, he's aggressive, controlling, right? There is,
Absolutely.
yeah, and they're going to be distant, right? Most people. So I've worked with so many people, and I one of the very important questions is how was your relationship with your father and mother? Because actually, how we saw them, how they were, that shapes our life. A lot of our life is really going to be based on that, because how you saw your mother is how you see women. If you respect your mother, you respect women. If
Absolutely.
you respect your father or love your father, or you got love from your father, that's how you're going to see men. And one of the very common things that they see is my father was just like every father is, distant. Right? He was not available. So this is one of the very common things. Touch wood, my father was not like that, but that's a
Touch
very
wood.
common thing, right? So that's the hyper masculine. And what was the when the that means that the woman was just the very feminine quality. That's when you would see martyrdom, right? She's actually, what is she doing? She's not caring for herself. It's almost like I'm going to sacrifice myself for everybody, right? And then obviously, when she doesn't look at her own needs, then she's
Mhm.
needy. So that's when post 40 you will see her cribbing, or you will see her angry all the time, or very needy and sulking all the time, right? And then that would also mean confused and stagnant energy. So this is when it's a very unhealthy, just masculine, just feminine. But if we actually take the positives of both, like I said, on the feminine side, the intuitive and the collaborative, and really honestly, this is what we need in the world, right? when it's
Absolutely.
when it's just masculine now, when we see the way people are kind of in work, it is just masculine energy, which most of us have taken on very proudly. Because if you saw your mother was suffering, if you felt like, oh, my mother was like a victim, very subconsciously so many people decide, I never want to be like my mother, right?
Mhm.
And that becomes like that single thought or that feeling is so potent, because it actually makes you reject feminine, right? And so we actually need this collaborative energy. We need feminine leadership, because otherwise we are, as a utilitarian society, otherwise we are going to really destroy the world. And that is what a
Absolutely.
lot of spiritual people also, when they kind of said that we have to bring back the feminine ways, that is the only way that our planet will also survive this. So I'd like to hear from you, Mudita, that are you seeing any shift, or have you, in your career of 18 years, what's the kind of leadership, and have you seen some difference in the environment? And if yes, can you share a little bit about that?
Absolutely, Preeti. And I'm sure when you were talking about it, a lot of us would have, gone back to our career journeys and said, "Oh, I had a boss like that. Oh, I had a boss like this." And again, the conversation started like, "Oh," and a lot of this, of course, went back to how we have seen relationships around since we grew from our parents, from our grandparents, everyone. So organizations, yes, Preeti, when I started working, this was early, way back in the late 90s. And, for a woman to be there, I had to dress a certain way to be able to be
Hmm.
heard, to be able
Hmm.
to have a voice, to be able to
Wow.
seen. And today, when I see it, it is very different. Today, I know that, as a woman, as a leader, I do have a lot of those. And of course, because of the work that I've done, yes, the feminine qualities that you say, that we bring a lot of intuition, we bring a lot of creativity, we bring a lot of empathy. And how we see that transitioning today is the conversations around performances have changed. Empathy is being used to improve performance. Psychological safety improves innovation. And a lot of this comes back to the women, feminine energies, because, we are more sensitive to this. Nurturing leaderships have improved retention. So the conversations have changed around, oh, it's not a hire and a fire organization any longer, but it's around that sensitivity that, yes, when you are nurturing as a leader, you want to retain, you want to build, you want to grow. So I
Wow.
think those qualities which were undervalued have now started becoming more prominent, more as a leadership style as well.
So beautiful. That's so promising. I'm very happy
Yes,
to hear
yes.
that. And I love that from every field, right? I mean, basically, I work so much more in the healing space, but also, how Ken Robinson, when he says that, oh, the education, the way it has been, we've only focused on the logical part, right? Kids start living just in the head, not in the entire body. And that too, then just one part of the head. So just the logic, right? And the other part of the brain, the intuitive brain, that part has been completely negated.
Neglected.
And yeah, and in our organization, we always speak about this, that uh, the masculine is about uh, where when we in our organization, where we sorry, my husband is calling me twice. I have to disconnect this call. So, how we say that, you may, when you're feeling well, you will
You
always
do
do well.
well.
But when you're
Absolutely.
doing well, you may not feel well. So, the doing, which is more the masculine, and the state of being is the more feminine, right?
Absolutely.
The woman gives birth, gives life, right? But how does she do? She doesn't have to actively do anything. She's just being receptive. She's just being open to the universe. And of course, of course, she's also doing, but it's more that state of being. That is what is the feminine, and the masculine is about the doing. So this balance of doing and being, and including the feeling and the intuition is so important, right? And in the meanwhile, as we are taking this, is, are there any questions? I'm just seeing. Yeah. So one of the things that, Mudita, I've been watching is that the self-worth is so much based on what we are doing,
Yeah.
right? A lot of when I was working with people, one of the important issues that would come in every person was their self-worth,
Mhm.
right? Where we say, like if you meet somebody and you ask them, what are you doing, right? Now, whenever there's a housewife, when she introduces herself, very likely they say, "Oh, I'm just a housewife." And that is one strange thing. I said, when you say just a housewife, try being a housewife. I mean, really, actually, if you're being present, right? There's so much that always goes on. It may not be, see, you may not be bringing money to the table, but you actually bring so much, right? And if I see that if we start really respecting this, now these days we see so many children committing suicide, and that's one of the big issues, right? And working with so many people, Mudita, one of the important, like so many people, when I ask them about their childhood, one of the pain points is they say, "Oh, I came back to an empty house." Right? When the child has gone through, if something has happened in the school, right? They don't have somebody to share that with, right? So it's always you're just focused on how much marks, what university they will go to, but actually who's really there to receive them and who's kind of focusing on that. So in that sense, I mean, I think this is so important. And as women, whoever, I mean, I'm not saying everybody has to take that on, but if a woman who's listening to this feels that, yes, I am a housewife, can we shift that in our conversation that I'm not just a housewife, right? I'm a homemaker. I'm the one who holds everything together for all those who go out. And that holding together is actually such an important role, right? And I'd love to hear from you at work, if any such challenges and how the self worth you've seen being based on this.
Absolutely true, Preeti. I think this I relate very well because my mom was always a homemaker and she brought all of us up beautifully. And, she managed all of that so well. So I think as women, we always have the feminine energy of multitasking and of doing so much more without even expecting anything in return. Yeah, and I think it is so rightly said that behind every man is a successful woman because she is the one who's working silently behind the scenes. And we do that a lot of times, even at workplace. I have
Mm.
seen so many women give up their career choices just to take care of someone back home, a kid, or, an ailing parent, but it is so natural to have those expectations of a woman to be able to give it up. So her self-worth has always been to take care of someone else, to take care of someone else's emotions, someone else's feelings. In fact, we saw a lot of this in COVID, when COVID was hit, and all of us were going through such an emotional turmoil. The world was completely shut down. A lot of women internally took that responsibility of being that silent listener to the other team colleague, being that, but again at the cost of her own self-worth, not realizing that she also has her own needs, she also has her own this thing. So a lot of times that inner dialogue, that inner critique, that since childhood, we are also conditioned that tum bade hue ho, tum paida hue, you have to get married, you have to go to someone else's house. So, we've stereotyped and we've grown with those thoughts that, oh, am I going to be not enough for my own self, but I'm going to be enough for someone else. And, we're always those givers.
So true.
You somewhere beginning me beautifully, you said that we are nurturing as sacred feminine. The energy is nurturing, but that self-worth conversation, that feeling of am I not enough, am I not doing enough, there are so many times where women find it so difficult to speak up for themselves, to have the conversation around, oh, I need time off because I have something else, or being able to set the boundaries, to be able to say no. So we do see a lot of those situations coming at work at times in the past as well. But of course, at the organizations that we are building, Preeti, it is so easy for women to be able to have a voice.
Hmm.
I think the work that we do with
Hmm.
AHA and, at the organization level, we have seen that shift where we
Hmm.
do have the flexibility, where women are stepping more into leadership roles, where they are coming up and taking that. Yes, but we need more organizations like that for
Oh,
sure.
yes, absolutely. And there are certain questions that are coming up, but
Yes.
actually, to make it more relevant, friends, I'd like to talk about 2 points before I take on these questions. Now, the way that we are made from mother and father, and so the way that we are seeing them is the way that we relate to masculine and feminine. So the way that your mother was, how you saw her, how you perceived her, and also the things that she told you, right? Or that is what will really shape your feminine. And the way your relationship with your father, the way you saw him, that is how your connection with the father was. The second point that I want to bring into awareness is that this suppression of feminine, which we spoke about, patriarchy, when we say patriarchy, women were suppressed, right? Men were telling them what to do, what not to do. Society was always telling them. And when the boy was allowed to go, they would say, "Oh, boys are boys," right? So boys can do things, they can decide for themselves, but for the girl, it's always the man who's going to decide. And the women, obviously, I mean, like any other place where anybody has been dominated, they are going to rebel. So what we are seeing with the women's lib and a lot of other things is really women are fighting that, right? And of course, the way that we were controlled is by money because we were dependent financially, right? So that's how a lot of mothers in the previous generation told their daughters, you will not get married till the time you start earning, right? So that's how money obviously became an important thing, that we don't want you to be dependent on anybody. We don't. So out of love, the mothers, of course, have told that. But of course, that has made us really also base our worth with money. Now, when we talk about healing, right, and when people come to us, we realize that all this conditioning that has happened has gone into our subconscious. And many times, because we have conflicts, when we saw a mother weak, when we said, I don't want to be like her, or we perceived a particular way, what will happen is you will keep attracting those things because it's there in you. There's law of attraction that's working. So you're trying to be worthy, but you will attract a boss who will make you feel shitty because you're a woman, or who will make you feel like you can't speak or you can't do this because you're a woman. So obviously, what happened to us is not our fault. However, healing that is our responsibility. And that healing, really, there are two stages to that. So, of course, if from emotional suppression, the first step that classically happens is rebellion, where we are going to fight, right? Oh, why can't I do this? I'm going to do it. So many of the things that women we see them doing, oh no, I want to dress like this. Oh no, it's not allowed. No, but I want to. I'll decide what I want to wear, right? So a lot of it is, of course, rebellion. But the next step is important to take, the step which is emotional freedom. So this journey is really important because otherwise we are always just in a rebel is always just fighting, right? And they will end up just keep, I mean, we'll keep fighting till the time we actually do that. So here there are certain questions, and I'm going to take that on. For young girls entering the workforce today, what is one mindset they should develop early on? Madhita, first let you take this.
Oh, that's a great question. So thanks for asking that question. I think that the conversation that Dr. Preeti and I are having is about that believing in yourself, the self worth. I think if you realize your self worth, if you realize that, yes, you are enough, you are strong, you are capable. I think that is very, very critical to be able to step not just into your professional, but even in your personal life, to be able to say no without feeling guilty, because we all feel so much of guilt around that. To set boundaries, we do feel guilty about it. So that is one of the key thought processes that I would say that, again, as Dr. Preeti said, that we just recommend things. So this is something that I would leave you with. Dr.
Yeah.
Preeti would love to have your thoughts on this as well.
Yeah, thank you. So I think what is important is for, I mean, of course, younger people are bound to be basing their self-worth on what they are doing, on how much they're going to be making, right? But when we are a parent and when we are a little older, when we are actually being role models to them, even without actually saying anything, but how you are. And the one issue that I see is that women don't respect themselves, or they don't respect women, right? So, as women, I mean, when we see problems, people face problems. The daughter-in-law, the father-in-law may treat the daughter-in-law well, but it's the mother-in-law, it's the woman who treats the woman badly because she doesn't also respect herself. So she has not been respected. She doesn't learn to respect herself. So naturally, we don't respect women. And then we are waiting for others to kind of respect us. So we have to, the one of the most important things that I would also say is that we start respecting ourselves, right? And we
Yeah.
start paying attention to our needs. So even if those needs were not met, we do the work to really pay attention to what's happening and not necessarily and not always wait for others' approval, right? That's an important thing. So that the other thing, somewhere previously, what was happening was that from childhood they were told you have to get married and go to the other house, right? It's like you're 7, 8 years old or 10 years old, and you're being prepared to go to the other house, and you have to take care of others. The women, the girls are taught the art of othering, right? And that's how when they're now rebelling, what's happening in so many countries, women don't want to get married. Because what does marriage mean? Marriage means I have to take responsibility for others and I have to give up my freedom. Now, any sane individual, if this is what is going to happen after marriage, I mean, if you ask any man and you tell them this is what you will need to do, will anybody want to do it? Of course, they don't want to do it, right? Now, what is important is that till the time that they become adults, we don't need to teach them this. We don't need to tell them this. I see Mudita stuck. Yeah. Okay.
I'm back. Sorry. Sorry for that.
So, what is important is first we need to allow them to develop their own individuality, right? We need to teach them, be the role models for how to think for themselves, decide for themselves, respect themselves. And how will we do that? Of course, by respecting ourselves. And we are being that role model as the mother, right? And then when obviously when you are caring for them, that will automatically come as a mother. Then but when my cup is empty, when the women were told you have to care for the other, it's like I don't get anything in my cup, right? I am not loved as a girl, I'm not wanted as a girl, so my cup is empty and I'm expected to pour into other people's cups. And that's how women become, very irritable or cranky or needy later, because who is filling my cup, right? So we have to really also teach the girls that yes, only when you wear your own oxygen mask can you help the other, right? So that's, don't tell them just othering. First, also take care of themselves.
I was just going to say that, Dr. Preeti, because that is something that, we talk so much about at work as well, that yes, you need to be more sensitive to how you feel. And I
Yeah,
think all our conversations at work, as you rightly said, always begin with how are you feeling versus, how are you doing? How was your day? And a lot of times we do suppress of how we feel. We do not talk about our feelings at all as
absolutely.
women, which is so, so critical to have those conversations around.
Absolutely. How can women stay connected to their softer qualities without feeling that they will be seen as less? Preeti. Preeti is asking that. Thank you, Preeti, for that question. We have to recognize that this is a myth. There are a lot of myths that patriarchy has given. Emotions are a sign of weakness. Women are weak. If you see, a lot of what has gone into our unconscious is what how we speak, what we are reading, what we are watching. So when we were growing up, if you see, Bollywood movies, right? Men were the strong ones, they were fighting. Woman, how was she? She was always crying and she was always kind of that sad. So either you're going to be sad or you can't be talking loudly, you can't be talking openly, you can't be laughing aloud and freely, right? So somewhere this is a myth, Preeti, right? And we have to say goodbye to it. So we don't, it's important to recognize that we need to let the water go, but don't let the baby go with the water, right? We have to recognize these myths that patriarchy has. You have to say bye to the myths, but don't say bye to the feminine qualities. Retain that. That is your strength. A woman is born to be a woman. So if we are always, any woman who's actually just trying to reject the feminine and just become like the male is going to feel conflicted, right? So it's almost like that's your spot. So when you release those myths and when you actually connect to who you truly are, you will automatically feel relaxed. You will automatically, you don't have to pretend, you don't have to try to prove to anybody. You're good enough just as a woman. You don't need to prove, right? If you have to prove to somebody, you only have to prove what you're not. What you originally are, you already are. So that is what we really need to give to the women also, and we need to really come to that place. I'm going to take one more question. Srishti June is asking, many working women feel guilty about being able to give equal attention to career and family. How can they deal with this feeling? Murita, I'd like you to take this question first.
Thank you. Thanks, Srishti, for asking this question. And we were discussing this earlier that, we do feel a lot of guilt because, as rightly said, that, we've been told as children and as women and as girls that, you are the nurturer, you are the caregiver, you are the, if you do this, you're a good girl. If you take care of others, you're a good girl. If you are saying no, then you're a bad girl. You have to take care of others. And I think a lot of guilt is coming to us, specifically when we say that we do not understand that self-worth is actually not selfishness. It is actually self-love. A lot of us do feel that, oh, if I say no, will I be taken as selfish? Will I be considered to be, oh, she's only thinking about herself, she's not taking care of others? And a lot of that is coming from the belief systems that, as Dr. Preeti was mentioning earlier, have been in the patriarchal society. And that is why a lot of women always feel that it's easier for me to give up my job to take care of the elder one, to take care of the kids, or to take care of someone else at home. And I'm okay to take a back seat in my career. So, yes, many working women do feel that guilt, and they always carry that guilt, even as a simple thing that, okay, if I deserve an appraisal, but I want that X amount, women feel guilty of asking because we've been conditioned that you cannot ask too much. So, yes,
Interesting.
the belief systems have always been so, so strong. And to carry this, I think, again, what Dr. Preeti said earlier as well is that we just need to understand and realize that this what is important to us at that time. How we feel about ourselves is what others are also going to feel about us. So that internal conversation within ourselves is something that is so important. And that is how the external changes. When you go inside, the outside changes. So I hope that I was able to answer that question. But Dr. Preeti would love to have your
Yeah,
perspective
thank
as
you,
well.
thank you, thank you. And I'm going to also take the next question and answer both of them a little, together. So Twara has also asked, why do so many women still struggle to recognize their own strength? And here also, when she was talking about guilt, so
Yes.
we obviously, when we are growing up, we learn to see ourselves just the way our parents are seeing us. So when my parents, for example, they feel that, oh wow, she's so good, right? And they kind of make me feel like I'm good, I'll feel good about myself. But if they kind of, look at me or kind of, okay, girl, now we have to. I remember one case where this girl was born and it was a forceps, right? And the father said that, oh my God, how will I get her married? Because her head was so thin. Now, obviously, now it's a joke. They laugh about it, but we don't realize that the child actually absorbs this. Right now, the child believes about themselves what the parents are thinking, and then we start really seeing ourselves in the same light.
Mhm.
So it actually is a lot of deep work. So when I worked with the sacred feminine with a lot of people, it is actually a shift in your inner perception. The way they were seeing you, that's how you were seeing yourself. If they thought you are not, your color is not good, right? You're dark, who will marry you? If you're thinking that, and maybe they ever told that, you will always feel like you're not good enough. You will always keep looking for that fair and lovely and trying to kind of, you know, like if if I was two shades lighter, that would have been so good. So you will always live with that, right? So a lot of deconditioning is what we need to do, and we need to really work with our own inner child, and we need to kind of give those things to ourselves. So that's the part, which is not so easy. I mean, of course, we are talking today about it, but it is work. It is commitment to say that I don't want to live anymore that way. Yes, they believe that way. They have given me their best. But I don't need to continue carrying that and continue giving on to my children as well, right? So that's the work that we need to do that, and when you kind of decide that and when you start connecting to the true you, not necessarily your identity, not just what you have done, that is when you're really able to identify your true strengths, right? And life always gives us those opportunities, Tara, right? And when we actually, like I said, it's work, but when we kind of decide that, yes, I'm ready to do it, life always supports us, right? Because actually, if you see, when we say Shiv Shakti or Ardhanarishwar, right? That's actually what it is talking about, that we have the masculine and the feminine, right? It never said that only the man is superior. This is a very Western thing where they label God also as just him, right? In our culture, we have this actually symbolizing, or when a girl was born in our tradition, they would say Lakshmi Aya, right? Because she's going to bring different strengths, but there is a uniqueness. And when that uniqueness is not seen by the other, so we have not learned to see that, we have to decondition and we have to really, start seeing that uniqueness and own that. So healthy model strengths is very, very important. And for me, somewhere a lot of this shift also just happened as I watched Dr. Lakshmi. When the
Beautiful. Yeah.
way she is, I mean, you just see her without really kind of a lot of the feminine. Many times now, when we talk about feminine, people are only talking about fashion or, a lot of those things. Or when you talk about self care, they talk about spa and all, parlor and all of that, right? I mean, that's just one step. That's a very tip of the iceberg. But actually, what is self love? What is really respecting yourself as a woman? I've really learned watching her also. And that really kind of helped me. So, like I said, that our inner image of how a woman is came obviously from our mother. We have to feel that relationship with the mother, but also look for another, what do we call, a model, a role model, right? Where you say, oh yeah, I see this woman who is in her power, who's not trying to be the man, who's not trying to wear the pants, but she loves herself, she respects herself, right? And how she cares for herself. So we obviously, that's how we support each other. Women's nature are is automatically collaborative, and when we start doing that, friends, you will always find the women who support you, right? So from being the woman, the mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, the women who try to pull down each other, we need to really make this shift where we find our tribe, where we are the women who support each other.
So beautiful you said, Dr. Preeti, and if you don't mind me adding, you reminded me of
Absolutely.
one of my multiple bosses. One of them was this lady who was driven and, who's passionate, who would expect perfection, yes, because, she would want you to be there. And, in her perfection, she would come across as very strict, very harsh, very, like she would drive you. She would literally drive you. She would make you cry. But at the same time, she would also help you evolve. She will help you grow. She will nurture you. She will sit down with you to have those hard conversations. But at the same time, she will acknowledge your efforts. She will acknowledge your work. She will acknowledge your. So that belief system that came from her, that, if she said, oh, you've done a good job today, it really was like, oh, wow, have I done it? So, you felt good about it. So, what you rightly said, that women do need to collaborate with each other rather than seeing each other as, women versus women. It is so important. And that's when your bosses or your colleagues in the corporate sector do make such a lot of a difference. So
Thank you.
thank you for
Thank you.
bringing that out.
Thank you. And when this question was there around guilt, I actually thought of a case, and I think I'd love to share this. Of course, this is not of these times. This is back in 2000, where I was still a student. Oh, no, in 1999, when I was still a student in the homeopathic college. And you know how when we have to take the history, we kind of go back and we have to take to our consulting doctor. We have to sit with the patient and ask. So this was a UP woman who had come, a woman from UP, and she came. And classically in homeopathy, when we have to take a case, we obviously sit with the individual, even if it's a child. We'll let the child get comfortable in the presence of the parent, and then we'll request the parent to step away. But as I want to talk to this woman, this man refuses to leave. He says, no, no, madam, उसको समझ में नहीं आएगा. मैं बैठता हूँ उसके साथ, उसको पता नहीं है बहुत सारी चीजें, मैं बताऊंगा. So he sits there, and every question I'm asking, I ask, अच्छा last periods कब थे? So he knows the date, he answers. So then, obviously, now I want to know what she feels and how she thinks. That's what is important. It's not going to help. I can't give her a medicine based on how he thinks about her. So I asked her, मैडम, अच्छा आप बताओ जरा आपका सबसे आज तक का खुशी का मोमेंट क्या सब था? So can you guess what he answered? I'll tell you. He says, मैडम, औरत का तो सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट दिन तो वही होता है, सबसे खुशी का, जब उसका पहला बच्चा पैदा होता है. तो
What?
वही था. Now imagine the man. It's almost like the culture or the man has decided when she should be most happy. Also, that was so hilarious. And I said, what if a woman actually was in so much pain that that's not the most important? And what if a woman actually didn't want a child? And she had to just automatically go into it. I mean, what's wrong with that, right? So I think it's important that, like I said, that, let go of the water. We don't have to feel guilty, because now this woman, even if she's not happy, she'll feel guilty even saying, I was not happy. That was not my most happiest moment, right? So it's not that every woman likes to cook or every woman likes to do this. I mean, let the woman say what she wants, what she doesn't want, what she likes, what she doesn't like. So that is the autonomy. That's the space that we have to give ourselves the permission to step into, that we take responsibility for our own well-being and now our life, and we allow ourselves to feel and express what we actually feel. So,
I have one more this thing to add to this, Dr. Preeti. Way back earlier, I think we were interviewing for a position in one of the tier three cities for a teacher role, and this candidate walked in, and she'd traveled, in fact, all the way because we were doing this in Mumbai, and the work location was somewhere else. And we made her the offer, but she said, "There's only one condition that I can accept this offer." And we said, "Yes." My father-in-law is sitting outside. I need to speak to him before I say a yes. And if he says a yes, I can say a yes.
mm,
And the question that we asked her is, are you wanting to do this role? She said, yes, I am very excited to do this role. But if he says no, then I will not be able to
mm, mm,
take this up. So what
mm.
you're saying is that yes, the power to make our own choices, the freedom to make our own choices, we are so dependent on the belief systems or someone else's belief system that yes, what is right for us or what is wrong for us.
So true.
So just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Indira. And Prabha Ma'am is asking, can the internal work we do on ourselves impact our environment, our relationship with others? Yes, absolutely, Prabha Ma'am, because we are energy beings, right? And how we are. So it's like we are all kind of coexisting. And when a woman starts to come into her power, automatically the man also starts kind of adjusting accordingly, right? And classically, till now, what we've been seeing is this happening just as nature, right? So when the women step into perimenopause or menopause, right, we see that, oh, women really, they're going through a lot of changes. They have a lot of mood swings. Actually, the biology is the shift that you're going through. It's like, yes, you were in the mother role. So there are actually three phases of a woman, right? The first one being the maiden, where you're not married, you're coming into your puberty, to that period. Maiden, then the mother, and then the crone. So when you're going through the perimenopause, you're now going away from the stage of the mother, where you are going to be giving birth. So naturally, your biology has made you in a way that a woman giving birth, that's a big responsibility on the woman, right? And naturally, that means that the child's needs need to take over your needs. That is important. Otherwise, the child won't survive. So naturally, you're going to first put your own needs back, and biology supports it beautifully. But when you're actually transitioning the perimenopause, it's almost like women start getting irritable, because now you need to shift from, I am going to be number one for me. I have to first take care of myself. So everything that she had put under the carpet will really start coming up at that point in time. And all the stuff that, all the things that she probably suppressed. So when she was brought up, she was told, you don't have to express, and all of that she did, it'll kind of come up. It's like the universe is actually trying to also heal, right? And it's important for women to know, because somewhere earlier it's not been respected. When women were respected, even in Indian tradition, we've only spoken about mother. Who was respected? It was the mother. We've not given respect to the women necessarily who have crossed this. Like, in a sense, the women feel they're useless now, right? But actually, in the ancient tradition, it was these women who have so much wisdom. So when a woman is now actually going into this stage, she has so much wisdom, she has so much to share with the younger generation. And also, we need to respect the maiden. So when we actually do this inner work, Prabhaji, naturally our energy will shift, and the whole family goes through a lot of shift also, right? And trust me, your shift in a positive way will help the family also, right? It kind of helps them also to kind of be less dependent on you. You don't need to always be mothering them, right? You need to allow them to kind of find their own thing also. Thank you for that question. Anything you want to add, Mudita, there?
No, I think the one thing that I would like to add to what you said, Preeti, is that when you do the inner work, you also see that changing in your relationships on a professional level as well. It's not just a personal shift, but it's a lot that you see the environment around you changing. You become more sensitive, you become more nurturing, you become more caring of your own self and of the others as well. So, yes, that inner work definitely helps you, not just in your personal but professional space as well.
Excellent. Ria is asking how to keep going with patience when efforts to create change feel tiring and take longer to reflect results. Would you like to first take it, Mudita?
Ria, beautiful question. And Preeti, in fact, I would like you to go first because this will take me some time to help her connect with it. But I would love you to take this first.
Excellent, excellent. So, Ria, actually, this again comes from a very masculine way, where it has to be quick, it has to be time bound. Like when we said that um, our education system has also been so, it's, you have to finish this in this much time, you have to learn math in this much time. So, we really see ourselves also from that point of view, right? Whereas when we see that life actually is just teaching you naturally, and you are going to grow, but just be patient with it, right? So just know that every day is a new day. I mean, we can't, like, when you just see a plant, when you see, just look around in nature. Men have created this, but when you just look around in nature, connect to nature, you can't force that lotus to open quickly. The butterfly, the caterpillar who's going through that struggle to become a butterfly, it goes through so much struggle, and yes, sometimes it feels too much, right? But if it doesn't go through that, it will not become a butterfly. If you try to just interrupt and help the butterfly or the caterpillar at that point in time, you're going to destroy the whole process. So nature has designed its own process, right? And the way the child is born, the child doesn't immediately come out. It's a struggle. The child goes through that whole birthing process. It's difficult. The cervical opening is not open first. First, it's being pushed. So all of this larger picture has a bigger reason, has a purpose. So the bigger picture is what actually helps you to relax and be patient. It is our very this, okay, I have to finish this by this time, very goal oriented, very, again, masculine way. Masculine energy is like that. Feminine energy is more holistic. So it's the feminine energy which will help you to relax and to say, yeah, hoega. The woman, I mean, she cannot say क्यों नहीं born हो रहा है. It is going to take 9 months. It is going to take, right? So she just she learns and she knows that she needs to relax and surrender. So that's what I would like to share. Mudita, any points from you, dear?
No, I think, Preeti, you said that beautifully. And I think what you rightly said is that, yes, it's a very dominant male leadership style that comes in. And, the need to be perfect, that, yes, with perfection needs the result oriented. I think that's where the feminine energy comes in. And we say that no, we want to have a nurturing conversation. We want to have a more collective growth conversation. We need to have a more emotional, intelligent quotient being developed in the organization, more deep listening, more involved decision making. I think these softer, nurturing, intuition, empathy, emotional wisdom, key feminine energies that need to be brought out so beautifully, not just professionally, but even personally. I think those are the critical energies that we need.
Hmm, so beautiful. Okay. So, how can men become better allies in supporting feminine energy and creating more balanced workplaces and homes? So beautiful, Akshita. Thank you. So this is extremely important, what Akshata has brought out. And many times the problem happens that women start taking men as the problem. They start taking men as their enemies, right? Now, the fact is that same system that has been there, and the men have been brought up in that system as well, right? So they also don't know if they've seen that their father just comes from office and he's going to be on the couch. Mother works, but she's going to be working. She's going to cooking. She's going to be cooking the entire meal. The man is going to automatically think this is how it is, right? So we have to, as we heal, as we change, know that they are not your enemies. But if we allow ourselves to be vulnerable and share with them, right? And also have boundaries. Not just because they expect it doesn't mean you have to do things for them. Right? Also kind of express that, okay, yes, this is where I'd like you to help. Right? A man feels wanted if you actually also ask them for help. So one of the problems with when women kind of become this rebellious person, it's almost like they want to be this. Oh, men are, we can do without them. I don't need a man. Right? Of course, we don't need in that way, but we would like. So it create space for them, right? And as you heal that, that's when you'll be able to create space for them. So allow them to do things that they do better. When you're going, allow them to carry that bag for you, right? Allow them to open the door for you. So allow yourself also to be treated as the queen by your man. So that is something. So as women, we need to, allow that. And that will happen only when you respect yourself. Thank you. Okay, so Medha is asking, we often encourage emotional awareness, but when men actually show vulnerability or empathy, they sometimes get judged for it. How can we change that mindset? Thank you, Medha. Medha, the only thing that we can do is we don't judge them, right? Know that society as a whole, every individual is at a different level of awareness, right? Now, when somebody judges, they are talking about themselves more, not about the other person, right? So if somebody is judging something, for me it is about how they think and who they are. It's rarely about who they are judging, right? Herman Hesse, there's a beautiful quote. He said that when you judge somebody or something, what you judge is always a part of you. So know that we can't change the society at large always. We, stop trying to change other people. You change yourself, things around you will automatically start changing. So people who are not ready to change themselves right now, they will follow on, right? 20 years later, 10 years later, maybe next lifetime. So they will learn when they want to learn, when they are ready to learn. But we have to work on ourselves and we have to learn that. Anything you want to add, Mudita? At
No,
work,
I
how
think
do you
you
see that?
So we do see that, Dr. Preeti, in a lot of structures at times in the past, we've seen that also is in that sense coming through. But I think a lot of shift is happening. Women have kind of taken that position also in the space that, we are today representing a lot more sensitivity towards men as well. It's not just that, we are saying that, oh, we are the best, or, but yes, we are working collaboratively. See, the leadership styles also that you see are more inclusive, they are more vulnerable, they are more encouraging, they are more creating that awareness, creating that safe psychological space where, empathy, nurturing, growth conversations do happen. And we do see that, yes, there is a considerable shift. What you said at the beginning of the conversation, that men also have a feminine energy to themselves. I think we are seeing that coming to work more often as well. So that's a great shift. And I think men also have learned to express themselves better rather than, working with that belief that, oh, मैं तो लड़का हूँ, how can I show that I am weak? So yes, we do see those encouraging conversations and change in the shift in leaderships as well.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. And Martina from Austria has written, thank you so much, Martina. So happy to see you here. And Kripa has asked a question: what if a father is judging a son? How can the mother help? Kripa, when as a mother, when you actually don't judge, right? You encourage, not just to fight the father, but just see the good in your son, right? And separately talk to the husband, right? When, I mean, and necessarily not making them wrong, because when you make your spouse wrong, it becomes a you versus me matter. But a lot of awareness is available, and of course, it's his journey. He has to heal his relationship with his father, the way he has seen things, right? So now the fact is that, of course, you are the mother and the father, so you can just give the best that you can to your son, and don't resist the father. Let the father give the very best that he can, and if if still whatever the judgment is going, the son will automatically, when he grows up, he will do the work, right? So don't make it a fight between both of you, because that actually traumatizes the child much more, right? So you be there, you give your very best, you provide the space for your child to be vulnerable. When we say vulnerable, what do we mean? That he expresses his authentic emotion. That if he's scared, he can say, I'm scared. He doesn't have to say, oh, I'm the strong boy. No, it's okay for you to be scared. Right? So even if the father is saying, there are times when you see that, oh, you're hurt, you fell down, or something happened, and you say, did you get scared? And it's okay for you to be scared. Right? This is the way that you will be encouraging the authenticity. Thank you. And Ravi is saying, we see the argument that women want soft patriarchy, seeking social equality while still expecting men to handle the most dangerous or labor intensive roles like military combat or heavy labor. Is this a valid critique of modern equality, or is it a misunderstanding of what feminism actually aims to dismantle? Mudita, would you like to take it up?
Thanks, Ravi, for asking this question. And so, this perception definitely arises from the historical societies that we developed gender specific roles that I was talking about and Dr. Preeti and I were discussing about. We also felt that men had a specific role to play in the society of being the providers, of being the protectors, while women were always socialized to be the nurturers, to be the homemakers. And I think what we are really witnessing today is that there is a transition between the old social structures and there is a transition in the new social structures as well. And yes, it does invite us at a level where, individuals have the freedom to choose the path without rigid expectations. I think that is where the shift is. And many women also choose careers these days, which are no longer stereotyped as, oh, these are only gender sensitive to men. We have a lot of women who are in the military roles as well. We have a lot of men who choose caregiver roles these days as well. So, we need to remove the rigid boxes. And that's what we're seeing as a shift in the corporate parallel as well. Today, we see a lot of women taking up those challenging, risk heavy leadership roles as well. We have a lot of these women leading organizations, startups. So I think that's where it is. I hope I was able to answer your question to a certain extent, Ravi. But Dr. Preeti would love to have your
Thank
reflection
you.
on this as well.
Thank you. So, Ravi, I'm going to answer this not going into too many labels or too many terms, but what I would, so when I spoke about suppression, right, or emotional dependency, then emotional independence, or where we become a rebel, and then freedom, right? These three stages, and one needs to move from this to this to this. You can't directly come from here to here. This is the journey, right? That we always take. And a lot of the feminism and the talk around feminism, people when they talk about it, is really coming from this middle space. So a lot of them are really here, right? And when we, like, the reason why I said I don't want to give terms is because every individual is on their own journey. This deconditioning has to happen within ourselves. The society is as a result, the change in the society will happen as a result. So, yes, a lot of the changes, even government and everything is that, okay, they said, no, we are not going to say women can't do this. We are going to create space for women, right? And yes, we know that women can do it. And they're stepping into this, right? But now, what is important is that as an individual, when I come from here to here, right? A lot of people get stuck into fighting this, right? Now they have not started looking ahead because they have to move here. But if our attention is still on the system and why the system is bad, and I'm fighting patriarchy, right? That is going to be the problem. Then it's actually going to keep us stuck here. We'll never be able to actually move on to our true potential, right? So we are all victims of victims. Your parents have done their best, they have given you the best. They were in a society, their parents gave whatever they gave. Now we can't keep fighting the past, the patriarchy, which has been. So yes, it's actually a difficult time because right now we are fighting a lot of things. We have not yet necessarily found a healthy way. So now when couples are moving into these into marriages where it's not like this is what a woman does and this is what a man does, because everything everybody does, yes, it's a lot of what they're going through, that okay, who will do this and I will not do this. So definitely a lot of these things are coming from there, what you're asking, right? But the point is that man and woman, the way nature has made them, they add richness to each other. When I talk from about the inner work, friends, I'll just share a little bit about myself, right? What does a marriage do? Now, when I got married, right, my partner brings to me my masculine, which I have disconnected from. He will bring to me also he'll be like a mirror to me. So the whole marriage, the being actually in that and learning how to work on yourself, it helps me connect to the masculine strengths. And also I need to release all the I, for example, held a lot of negative beliefs about men, and my partner was mirroring that to me, right? Now that's a opportunity for me to heal. And through being in the marriage, he's been able to connect with the feminine in him. He used to be not connected to the feminine in the healthy manner. But actually, it's a journey where both of us have grown in our own self, right? So instead of
Beautiful.
seeing the other as an enemy and is the other using me, why should I be doing this? I mean, if we embrace the whole journey, nature has made it in a particular way, right? Individuals are like, I mean, it's like, this finger thing. So I'm going to decide for myself and I'm going to receive the blood, or I'm going to decide if I receive the blood or receive it's a part of the bigger whole. If you are where you are, of course, you have to do what you need to do, what you can do, but you can't control everything. And in this process of becoming the feminist, many times they're trying to just control everything. And of course, then men don't like it, right? Because obviously they naturally will fall in love with a woman, right? They're not going to be attracted to a woman who's like a man, right? So, and then obviously all these questions come, Ravi. So, I hope largely I'm kind of able to give a little perspective to that.
That was beautiful, Dr. Preeti. I think that really made a lot more relevance.
Thank you. And friends, what is important is that, like I said, all of us are conditioned, right? If you can identify one belief that you have about being a woman, about being a man, or about how the feminine is, we need to. When I'm saying we need to work on ourselves, we need to allow ourselves to change those beliefs. That's the kind of colored glasses that we are seeing through. And many times we are trying to change, fight other people. We just need to change our glasses, right? And I think that's what I would really like us to leave with. So just kind of respecting ourselves more, respecting ourselves as women, and working on our relationship with our mother, right? And I had originally thought if we have some time, we'll do a meditation, but I think we already are at 5:07. So,
Didn't realize where time went, Preeti. We can just continue with this longer.
oh yeah, absolutely. So, any last thoughts from you, dear Mudita?
I think with all the work that I have done with AHA through inner child, through self mastery, I think there's one thing that stands out to me, and I would love to leave all our viewers today with is that when a woman heals her self worth, she doesn't change. her life. She changes the culture of every room she walks into.
So
Wishing
true.
you all a very happy Women's Day.
Thank you. Happy Women's Day, friends. Celebrate yourself, love yourself, care for yourself. Bye
Thank
bye.
you so much for having this
Thank you.
conversation with us today, Dr. Preeti.
Thank you,
And thank you
Mudita.
for
Thank
inviting
you
me
for
for this.
joining. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.